And then there was one. Okay, technically two, Urianger, but I mean, one of the primals left. Talk to me, Y'shtola. What's up? So, both Ifrit and Garuda are now vanquished by your hands. Truly, you have earned yourself a rest. Would that you had the luxury of time to enjoy it. It pains me to say that Titan is also returned, and with a vengeance. As was the case with his primal brethren, he has grown stronger than he was before. When I went about my investigation, all indications suggested that the kobolds were nowhere near ready to resume their summoning rites. But it turns out they were deceiving us. I should have known better. The kobold subterranean domain runs deep, and they can easily hoard crystals with our being none the wiser. And a vast hoard it must have been. Till now, Garuda was the most powerful among the 3 recent active primals. But according to our latest readings, Titan has usurped that honor. A primal's might is determined by 2 factors: the amount of crystals it has gorged upon, and the fervor of its believers. I would like nothing more than to measure precisely how strong the Lord of Crags has become, but I fear the time for such prudence has run out. We have already received an official request for assistance from the Maelstrom, and as you might expect, it is addressed to you. For your previous encounter with Titan, you traveled to his I don't say domicile or something, by way of the aetheryte first discovered by the Company of Heroes. Sad to say, this aetheryte no longer seems to respond. But do not despair, for the Maelstrom has reportedly found another in its place. You will want to speak with Commander Riki at Maelstrom Command for the details. I cannot stress this enough, but Titan has grown fearsomely strong. See to it you spare no preparation. Ah, Titan. Titan. Man, the stories I could tell on this one. So the thing is, Titan was hard. Titan was hard because it was, for lack of a better phrase, it was tight. Okay, so Titan was a very tight fight. You only had a timer on it, like not a real timer, like a soft timer on it. You couldn't. There were a lot of one-shot mechanics that could kill people. And you have to remember too, I think I talked about this once before, at launch, in the first few months after launch, so when people were doing this, well heck, I would say probably the first 6 months or so, lag was a real serious problem in this game. Not just like, oh, I take a long time to log into a zone, to teleport someplace, to start a fight. But what was actually really bad was the telegraphs were oftentimes really short because of the lag. The amount of time it took for the telegraph to be sent from the server to you was much shorter than it is now. So they may have programmed you to have 5 seconds to respond to something, and you only got like 2. And an example of that I gave earlier was when we were doing Bray Flock's Longstop during that Green Dragon fight. I had to memorize the amount of, I had to memorize counting off time between his breaths, because the lag was so bad that you got almost no warning for his breath to get out of it. So I had to learn to count in my head while I was doing that fight as a tank. I think it was 16. I think it was 16. It might have been 14. But I would count it, and then when I would get to like 14, I would start running, because at 16 he was going to spit his breath, right? And I couldn't count on the lag. With the lag so bad, I couldn't count on the effect showing up in time for me to run out of the telegraph. there's a lot of other examples. There's a fight in Coil of Bahamut, actually, that when I was doing it at the time of it being new, there was a mechanic that had this huge AoE that would one-shot a tank, and you had to run out of it. And it was another situation where the tanks had to learn to count, and the problem with that was a little more tricky because it came after another effect. So you would have the effect would kind of happen randomly, or not randomly, but it would be like in a sequence, and you had to watch for that effect and then start counting in your head and then run out before it would explode. And there were lots of those. So Titan, hard mode Titan, was the pinnacle of, at the time, was the pinnacle of destruction for this, because he has this thing where he hits the ground and it makes a line smash, and everyone in that line smash gets knocked off of the platform. If you get knocked off the platform, you don't get revived. You cannot be rezzed. So you're dead, right? There's also bombs that he will summon. And the problem is, they summon in patterns, and so it would be like a 1, 2, 3 rows, right? 1 row, 2 row, 3 row. So row 1 would explode. You would want to be on row 2 or 3, and then you would run to the ones that had already exploded. So you'd ideally be on 2. 1 explodes, you run it immediately as soon as it explodes to it before 2 explodes, right? That's how you would dodge it. You'll see when I actually do the fight here in a second. But so the problem is there's a whole bunch of different patterns, and a lot of them all look the same. And a couple of them, the starting spot was different. Like those rows could be in different orders. There's a circle one. You have to see where the circle starts, right? So that you're not at the end of it. The problem is the lag would be so bad, you wouldn't see it. Like, has it all put in order, you would just, all of a sudden, all the rocks are up. And you're like, oh crap, I don't know where to go. So, it was bad, man. It was so bad. But the problem was to get into Coils of Bahamut, which was what I said we're doing this right now for, you had to beat it. And there's actually later on, I don't want to say what it is, but there's a fight at some point where it tells you have to have beaten the 3 hard modes of Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan in order to access the next part of the quest. If you haven't done it, you don't get to do the rest of the main story quest. And the problem was, a lot of people still couldn't do it. So, in Mordona, remember I told you, like back in the in-game Mordona, that was where all the in-game players were. They'd all be gathered up. There were guilds where, like high-end raiding guilds, where they would they would have somebody in Mordona all day selling carries. It's an 8-person raid. They would bring 7 people, and you would pay to be the 8th person. You could die, the other 7 people would win the fight without you, right? Like, they had geared up enough to do that, and they had done the fight enough to do it. But you would pay, at the time, a very large amount of money to do that. Fortunately, I was in a guild that was raiding, so while it took us a few times to beat it, whenever we were like helping one of our guildmates, we could do it on our own. But yeah, it was not easy. That is a hard fight at the time, and I want to specify that it was mostly a hard fight because of server lag. And I'm not saying that because I had a hard time with it. I'm the tank. I had the easiest time, to be honest. Like, as the tank, you don't got to do nothing hardly in that fight except dodge those bombs. That's pretty much it. But just in general, that lag issue was super bad for people, and Like I said, it took about 6-7 months for them to get that fixed. Once they did, the game's been really smooth ever since then. But yeah. Ah, Private Hiscaris, your presence is most welcome. I'm chagrined that we must turn to you again to lay Titan low. No doubt this is yesterday's news to you, but the Lord of Crags has returned more ferocious and formidable than he was before. We cannot fathom how the kobolds were able to obtain such vast stores of crystals in so short a time. We will learn the answer in the coming moons, I suspect, but first things first. We need you to vanquish Titan before he and the kobolds have a chance to wreak havoc on Limsa Lominsa. You have felled the primal before, and we believe that you can emerge victorious once more. We've learned of a new aetheryte that will take you to the navel. It's situated deep within Ugamaro mines. Not the most convenient of locations, admittedly, so you will have to cut yourself a path. Please, make all haste. Titan's mere presence emboldens the kobolds, and 'tis only a matter of time before they move in a force against us. May the navigator guide you on your way, Private. Okay, you know what? If I beat Titan again, you guys have to give me a promotion. I'm tired of being a private. I beat Titan for you already once. I deserve a promotion. Promote me. Alright, here we go. Alright, so that's land side. If you get hit by that, you get knocked off the pedestal, and if you get knocked off the pedestal, you cannot be revived. That is way to land. It's like an AoE underneath people. You just have to run out of it. Okay, so those are the bombs. You can see that that bomb to my left was the first one, so as soon as it explodes here in a second, I need to run over towards where it was, so I don't get hit by a bomb. Like this. Okay. Not too bad so far. Now we just have to destroy the heart. Did. No big deal. Alright, this is where it gets rough. Phase. He is gonna do so much damage here. Right there is the big one. And then he'll start slapping the ground. Right there. That gets stronger the longer the fight goes. So there is kind of a softened range on this if you get the tank, even though it wants to kill. Oh crap. Looking good so far though. yes, it took us more than one time to kill them. Just goes to show you that even with all the gear and stuff, Titan's still a tough fight. You have to learn it. You have to know it. And now that all of the other 3 Scions have left, there's only the Riange. When the Cenary moon did wane, there sounded a blood-curdling roar. A new primal had aroused. The portents gave us to believe one whose identity yet lieth beyond our ken. By thy hand, 3 primals have since been vanquished. As each returned to the aether, 'twas observed that tremors foreshadowing this 4th grew in strength and frequency both. The being doth quicken, and in time it shall become a scourge upon the land. Yet, even as we pondered a course of action, a benevolent soul did arise, one who would forestall this threat. Though she be tender in years, she is true of heart and steadfast of resolve. She would solicit thine aid, if thou art willing to proffer it. Lest thou wonder, this maiden is of our order. Thus did the antecedent straightways consent that thou shouldst assist her however thou mayst. Talk normal English. As soon as thou art able, hie thee to Wineport. Just say go to Wineport, where thy petitioner doth await thee even now. Thou shalt for a certainty find her visage strikingly familiar. Come here, Riange. Come here real quick. Stop it! Okay? Stop that. You stop talking like a stupid Shakespearean wannabe plagiarist, okay? Speak English proper, like a good American. So, here we are in Wineport, and oh, hello, who are you? Why, certainly it's Alphino, yes? No. It has been a wild adventure. As I recall, my brother Alphino took the liberty of introducing us when first and last we met. But for the sake of propriety, Alize Lebelier, I thank you for coming. I have heard much and more of your exploits. By your hand, the Black Wolf is slain and his ultimate weapon destroyed. You are possessed of great strength and courage, that much is plain. I shall have need of one such as you if I am to see my mission through to its conclusion. As you may be aware, the violence of Dalamun's fall changed not only the face of the realm, but also the base of the realm. Specifically, it played havoc with the etheric currents, creating vast confluences of aether below the surface, among other phenomena. This led to the formation of subterranean caverns at key points of stress. One such cavern lies beneath Castrum Ascens, and extends to only the gods know where. Despite appearances, Castrum Ascens is as much a research facility as it is a fortress. Gaius Van Belsar chose the site for no other reason than to probe the caverns without interference. As you went about vanquishing the returned primals, I observed a repeating wave pattern in the aether, corresponding exactly to the dates on which you were reported to have felled Ifrit, Titan, and Garuda. Upon closer examination, it became clear that these unique waveforms emanated from deep beneath the aforementioned stronghold. Crucially, I recorded the same pattern during the recent celebrations. and have since been given to understand that this phenomenon bears a disquieting similarity to one observed shortly prior to the calamity. 5 years ago, my grandfather invoked the power of the 12 that he might contain Bahamut. Alas, his efforts failed and he vanished, together with his foe. I would know the truth of what transpired that day, of grandfather's fate, and of the metamorphoses that swept across the land. In casting light upon these mysteries, we will find a way to cure what ails this world. It is my belief that the answers I seek lie hidden within the depths of the cavern. I would have you accompany me on an expedition to find them, Sophie. If truth be told, I am not wont to rely upon others. I am not wont to rely upon others, and have thus far handled matters alone. Yet I am not blind to my limitations. Unescorted, I cannot hope to succeed in this endeavor. I swore that I would find a way to restore peace to Eorzea. If you desire the self-same, then aid me, as you aided my brother and the Scions. I am in your debt. You are a woman of action, and I sense that we will accomplish much together. But let us not waste any more time. As I mentioned, Castrum Ascidens straddles the cavern I wish to explore. If I am to have a hope of reaching it alive, I will need you to infiltrate the stronghold first and locate a path into the depths. Once you have done so, pray report your success to Storm Private Jabroka. Jabroka. You may consider her my assistant here in Wineport. I have every faith that you will not fail me. 12 speed your way, Sophie. So, just in case you need a reminder, Alize is the twin of Alphino, and they were on the carriage at the very beginning of the game, sleeping when we were talking to that merchant, and then they showed up at the different remembrance ceremonies and talked to us there, and then they had a dispute between each other at the Quicksand Tavern and went their separate ways, and we haven't seen Alize since then. Alphino has been the character that's been leading everything, so now we have Alize back in the game. Yay! So yeah, basically you just have to get yourself in here and then touch that and go back. But as you can see, without flying, it would be a little harder. You have to fight a little bit to get in there. Kind of like a tuning to those Aetherites for the hard modes. I've been expecting you, Sophie. By your coming, I take it you have successfully located the cavern entrance inside Castrum Ascidens. So, that's where it is to be found. Marvelous. Oh, but allow me to properly introduce myself. Jabroka is my name, Jabroka, and it is my honor to serve Lady Alize, though for reasons of convenience, at present I also serve the Maelstrom. This uniform accords me certain privileges, you see. In particular, ready access to the Maelstrom's regional scouting reports. They provide a wealth of local knowledge, including information on secret passages. But enough about me. I shall notify Lady Alize of your discovery, that she may prepare for the expedition. Though I don't doubt your abilities, none can say what dangers lurk beneath Castrum Ascidens. For my lady's sake, as well as your own, please spare neither preparation nor caution. Pray, choose your companions well. The binding cord of Bahamut is now accessible. Yay, nice and good array.